Alright, so now look at this. This says that I is a 0. Listen guys, we got to figure this out. It says that I is a 0 of f of x, x to the 4th. So let me write it out because I'm not going to say all that. I guess I could. X to the 4th minus 8x cubed plus 14 x squared minus 8x plus 13. All right. So if I is a 0, what do we know about complex numbers?
They have conjugates.
They have conjugates. They always travel in pairs. So we are saying that x equals I, which is one solution, and x equals negative I, because that would be the conjugate, right? This is a 4th degree polynomial. What else is there for us to know?
There's 2 more solutions. It's possible.
Yeah, there's a possibility of having 2 more solutions. So, if these 2 are solutions, couldn't I say that x minus I times x plus I times something else is going to equal this whole thing right here?
Yeah.
Which stands to reason that this, right, or let me rephrase that, this should be divisible by the product of these 2 things. Yes, Mr. Adams. So, what is the product of these 2 things? X squared plus 1, right? Because negative I squared is, I squared is negative 1, negative 1 is positive 1. You guys with me so far?
Yeah.
So, we want to divide the top by this, and then we'll go from there, okay? So, does anybody have any questions about what I've just done? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take x squared plus 1, and I'm going to divide that into x to the 4th minus 8x cubed plus 14x squared minus 8x plus 13. X squared times something equals x to the 4th. What's the something? I'm going to multiply this by this, and I get x squared. Multiply this by this, and I get x to the 4th. Now what do I do? Subtract, these cancel, and I get negative 8x cubed plus 13x squared. And I'll probably have to drop this down, minus 8x. Something times this, whoops, let's change color. Something times this has to equal that. What's the something? Negative 8x. 8x times 1 is negative 8x. I'm going to write that over here. Negative 8x times this is negative 8x cubed. When you minus a minus, you really add. These cancel. This cancels. You drop this down. I got 13x squared. Drop down my 13. What do I multiply this by to get this? Yep, I heard somebody say 13, which gives me 13x squared and 13. Subtract them. I get a remainder of 0. This times this equals this. What do I need to do next to find the real solutions?
You could factor, but you can't factor. So
I've got to factor this, but I can't do it. I'll have to use the quadratic, right? I've got to factor this bad boy. Does that make sense? So, just can I erase the quotient thingy over here? Well, let's do it over here. I think I have room. I'll just write it a little smaller. So, my A is equal to 1, my B is equal to negative 8, and my C is equal to 13. So I'm going to say x is equal to plus or minus negative 8, right? No, it's not plus or minus. It's minus plus or minus. So it's minus 8 plus or minus the square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 13, all over 2 times A, which is just 2. Right? And you guys remember where I'm getting that from, right? Okay. So I'll leave that up there for a second, let you guys write it down. In the next line, I'm going to try to write small so I can fit it all in there. I'm going to say x, oops, let's use the blue marker. X is equal to positive 8 plus or minus, this becomes 64. This becomes 52. What is 64 minus 52? 12. So then this is plus or minus the square root of 12 all over 2. Yep. So now I'm going to try to simplify the 12. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say 8 over 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 times the square root of 3 all over 2. So I'm doing a couple of things. I'm separating the numerator over the same denominator. We can do that. And then I'm taking my square root of 12 and breaking it up into the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. What's the square root of 4? 2. So what's 8 divided by 2? 4. Plus or minus, this becomes 2, right? 2 over 2 cancels, so I've got 4 plus or minus the square root of 3. All right. Now those are the x values. So what is our answer? B? Yep.